Hello, Congresswoman Titus. My name is David Wright. I'm from Nebraska. It's nice to meet you. Anyway, I feel like I'm singing to the choir because I think you're touching on a lot of the, oh, I'm sorry. Can I back up a little bit? There, now you can see me. How's that? I feel like I'm singing to the choir because you're touching on some of the most fundamental problems with the checkoffs. And that is industry groups have taken control of those dollars and they use them to promote their position. And in our case with the beef checkoff, NCBA tends to promote the Packers position most of the time. Now, I served 8 years on the Nebraska Beef Council. I was elected twice to 2 4-year terms, and I served 6 years on the Cattlemen's Beef Board. So Bill Sack put me on there for 2 terms. I ran opposed to the checkoff in Nebraska and got elected twice. So, I mean, so with that said, in Nebraska, we have a low population, but lots of checkoff dollars. So we forward millions of dollars to the Federation of State Beef Councils to buy seats. So I've spent 14 years listening to, at the NCBA convention, watching checkoff dollars be spent. I did have the opportunity with Fred Stokes a few years back to spend some time with Secretary Vilsack under the Obama administration to have the same discussion. And I laid out all the contracts to the secretary. It was just a one-on-one conversation for 45 minutes. Congresswoman, he never blinked at me that whole time. And I concluded quickly, either he didn't know what I was talking about or he knows what I'm talking about. And when it was done, I pointed out to him that this is the most corrupt thing I've ever seen in my life. And just a few examples I'll give you. In the opening paragraph of the Act of Congress to put in a beef checkoff, they are required to promote research, educate, and promotion of cattle markets and beef products. In 30 years, we've never developed a cattle market, but yet cattle producers pay the checkoff $1 per head. Beef producers don't pay 10 cents a pound. Cattle producers pay it. All we've done is create beef markets. And with that said, when I was referring to the NCBA, they quickly and alertly and very aggressively, when they started forming beef councils across the different states. Well, remind me, what state are you from? Oh, I lost it. Nevada? Oh, I have no volume for you. Okay, but anyway.
I'm from Nevada.
There you go.
Nevada.
Right. So Nevada, your beef council's been merged with California's. Is that correct?
I think so.
I believe so. Right. And they've taken those beef councils and they tied them to the state affiliate. In other words, NCBA state affiliate, to the point to where some of them share the same staff. They share the utilities and the buildings. So that state affiliate has a huge economic burden lifted off their shoulders. If they can share that with the beef council, which is collecting dollars from every individual. And I'm obviously you're aware of that. But the one that I find striking, and I've read this act and order a million times, and you find something new every time you read it. But as of recent, there's been this whole discussion about country of origin labeling. Because in 2014 to today, we've lost $20 billion a year in the cattle business. That's $20 billion. Now, when I see that, I see a loss of political power to your constituents and a gain of political power to the concentrated packers. And I assume you would rather see your constituents with that $20 billion in their pockets instead of the packer. But here's what's interesting. In section 1260.169 of the act or of the order, I've never seen this before. Paragraph D, it says, in carrying out any plan or project to promote or advertise, implement by the committee, no reference to a brand or trade name of any beef product shall be made. And that's what we were always told, to just stop right there. Would you like to hear the rest of the sentence? It's really quite interesting. Because it says shall not be made without the approval of the board or the secretary.
Mm.
So the board and the secretary could stand up and say, like Vaughn said earlier, we need country of origin labeling. We need to know it's US beef.
That's
They
right.
have that ability, but they've neglected to do it for 30 years because they would just as soon promote beef, gain concentration for the packers, and the rest of us, I guess, just work for them,
Mm.
you know? But I'm there for you on this one. I really am. All right. I'd like to see you get rid of it, but if you're not gonna get rid of it, at least, you know. And then as for lobbying, I always laughed about this. And they would say no dollars are used for lobbying. Well, that's probably true, but they use those dollars to offset the cost of the staff, the cost of travel. See, when I first got on, do you remember Terry Stokes years ago with the NCBA? He was their executive director.
It sounds familiar, but I don't
Okay,
know.
so I was going through orientation and they were trying to educate me or brainwash me, right? And I was raising Cain and Terry took me to his office and he says, he showed me a T-chart. So policy on one side, checkoff on the other. And he said, can you not see the firewall? And I said, looks to me like you're married and filing separately, which is what they're doing because most of the beef councils don't have 990s.
Yeah.
You see, so they got to be filing taxes somewhere. So with that said, I looked at Terry and I said, what if Farm Bureau came in tomorrow and they won all of the contracts? That would be the end of NCBA. And he honestly looked at me and said, we would have to close Chicago, we would have to close Denver, and we'd have to move everything to Washington, DC to work on lobbying. Do you see what the checkoff provided for NCBA?
Yeah.
So they can honestly tell you they don't spend any money on lobbying, but they spend 100% of their membership dues on lobbying. Because the checkoff covers everything else. What it is, it's a 70-30 split. Even the CEO at NCBA, 70% of his salary is paid by checkoff. 30% is paid by members. You know, if you got a little extra checkoff dollars, I'd take them at the ranch. It'd help me out, you know. But I like this.